Hello, my dear sister, friend. Happy to be with you. And if you allow, I would like to say a little prayer that all we speak now together will be for the highest good of all and all that is. And we thank for the right attitude, the right words, the right feelings, the right mindset, and the good energy in connection with the spirit world and Mother Earth and our own higher selves via our heart, our souls, with the divine spark inside that connects us with everyone watching and all that is. Thank you.
So be it.
Yes.
Gabrielle, nice to be with you again.
Vice versa. So, as we had the idea to try something new and make an Elohim Q&A, I'll go into channeling mode and then you start your questions. They will surely announce themselves as they always do in the beginning. Maybe they say a few sentences more, who knows? And then you can start, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. We are the Elohim, the breath of God, the form-giving forces, in service to the one infinite creator source, in service to all. We are very happy that Gabrielle followed the nudge and you also had this idea and that we can be with you together in this moment of time and that you ask your questions, which hopefully will plant seeds in the viewers and help them to maybe answer their own questions or just broaden their horizon. So here we go. Thank you for asking your questions.
Thank you, Elohim, for your presence and for allowing us to connect with you. I feel honored and humbled by this opportunity to learn and grow through your wisdom. So, to start, I'm wondering if you could share with us how many angels comprise Elohim.
Wow, that's a question, dear one, a very human question, because we are a collective of all angels in the 12th dimension, and we do not count like you humans do. Let's just say we are many. And as we are united as one, we speak through this vessel with only one voice. And it does not matter whether you know that we are thousands or 10,000s or hundreds. That's surely not what you wanted to hear, but a number can never grasp the oneness of a united collective consciousness of spiritual beings. We hope you understand.
I understand. Thank you. What requirements or qualities are needed to become an angel?
Well, your ancient being Enoch, who became the angel Metatron, kind of showed you how to do that. The quality first needed is to be balanced in your whole system, your microcosmic system, which is more than just your physical body and the subtle bodies. And you need to be in balance with the polarities within your system. And then the next step is that you melt over into your higher self, and that your ego steps aside, and that you are kind of able to let it go. That's how you unite with your higher self, which is a part of your soul, and your soul is a part, a fractal of Source, all that is. So you need to be balanced, and you need to unite with your higher consciousness, so that your higher consciousness and your soul kind of take over your beingness and your life. And then you enter the next higher density or dimension, and you kind of grow into the angel form. Does that explain enough for you?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm wondering as well whether do angelic beings also incarnate on Earth? If so, in what form?
They do incarnate in human vessels, but they are restricted because of the density of your 3 or 4th dimension that you are now entering and living in. So only up to 10% of the whole angelic frequency being can incarnate into a human vessel. And at the moment, there are a lot of angel consciousnesses incarnated on earth in human beings, because of the important time you are right now in, at the end of a great cycle, where the rapture, how you call it, or the ascension, the shift, whatever names you put onto this process that brings you up into the next higher density or dimension via the consciousness that is coming with your amped up soul sun activity. Your solar system, ruled by your sun, is the Christ consciousness, and at the end of a cycle, the energies amp up. Your sun is in the solar maximum at the moment, so you are getting more, even if you don't see the sun in the northern hemisphere. The photons are full of higher consciousness, and they work within you to prepare and conduct the transformation from your carbon being into a more plasma and crystalline being, which is the next step. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. And has any of you ever incarnated on Earth?
No. We are the ones that stayed, so to speak, in the heavens, in the 12th dimension, because the whole universe, built in duality and polarity by Source itself, because only with the two forces you can create. And we had to maintain the balance with the so-called fallen ones, the fallen angels or Nephilim, or however you want to call them. So if they went down into denser dimensions, we needed to stay where we are to maintain the balance. We are in the 12th dimension. with many other collectives, as for example, the creators, which are channeled by Daniel Scranton quite often. And there are many other 12-dimensional collectives or collective consciousnesses, and we all unite and, if needed, work together in different constellations. But as we represent the pure angelic consciousness, we have somehow a special task, which is keep the light, maintain the frequencies, and follow the orders of Source itself.
Do you respond every time we ask for your help? Or are there cases where it is not possible every time we ask, or perhaps not in the timing we might hope for? If so, what determines your ability to assist us?
Well, we hear you, all of you, and we know you, like your names are written in the book of life. But we have to follow the, in your Star Trek movies, named Prime Directive, which is the first cosmic law from Source itself, to allow free will and not interfere or override your free will. So we hear you, but as we are beyond time, some of your cries for help or pleas would not be good for you to be fulfilled. And we have to decide if it's no good for you to answer or intervene or help with your pleas. We only send the energy without intervening to help you and empower you to come to your own conclusions. Is that enough of an answer for you?
Yes, thank you very much. Again, in those cases where we ask for your help, do you ever have any disagreements among yourselves on how and when to provide that help?
No, because we are a united consciousness. This is difficult for humans to imagine, because if you come together as 3, 4, or 5 people, you all have, every one of that group, his or her own mindset and attitude and opinions, which aren't always right, because you are manipulated and influenced by everything you see in your world and hear, and by the mainstream media that tries to give a certain taint and hue to your opinions and direct you in certain directions and trajectories. So as we are united, there cannot be disharmony or discord. We are beyond that. Even if we are thousands, we all are united in the same thought, the same feeling, and just one way to speak. There are no different opinions within our united consciousness.
I understand.
Do you understand that? Okay.
That makes total sense to me. Does the devil exist? Is it really an archangel and therefore as powerful?
Well, we have to answer with a yes, but we want to give you an example. See, if you break it down into something simple that you can understand from your human experience, if you make a light and source is nothing but light. So if you switch on a lamp in your flat, what happens? That light creates shade, shadow. So the brighter the light is, the more of the direct surrounding of the lamp is enlightened, but also you can see more of the dust or dirt and more clear shadows. So what you call the devil or the counterforce or darkness is the first creation together with the light beings, the angelic forms of Source itself. It had to split itself first like a cell into two halves, which are polar opposites. So there is the light and the light beings and light forces, like you call the angels, which are at the highest densities or dimensions, just energy forms of consciousness. And on lower densities or dimensions, we appear in a form, like you know this special form from your medieval painters as angelic figures with wings and long robes. So in that sense, darkness and what you call the devil also exists and can take form on lower densities. And as your Bible, which is very much redacted in many parts, so it's not all true, but there is still enough truth vibrating in it. There is a being that is called the devil and Satan, and it's doing its work. And all this is under the order of the light source itself, because that's the highest frequency that is from which everything stems and originates and comes, the love light, the benevolent consciousness. So within polarity, what you think as evil is even fulfilling Source's plan to sometimes wake you up by your suffering or by whatever you experience as bad and negative, because these experiences, that's why the souls created by Source incarnated into bodily vessels until this low dimension, unto the third and fourth dimension, to have the experience. If you know something, you just know it, and you don't need the experience. If you want to kind of live it, you have to come down into a body and live through the process of an experience, starting maybe with a wrong opinion and then having the experience that shows you, no, that's not working, that's not right, does not feel good, and makes you change your trajectory. So the so-called darkness or Satan or the devil, is showing you how to not be and what to not do or not think and not feel, because it does not feel good and you don't feel well with evil thoughts. So you need this experience to exercise your free will in this free will world, Earth. That's more or less what it's all about, that you discover or rediscover, that you come from the light, that you are light, not your ego, but your higher self, and your soul is of the light. And that's where you as an ego, a person, want to grow to. And that you choose wisely after you had the experience, the contrast of good and bad, or light and dark, and day and night, that you choose what you prefer, what you want to be, want to think, and want to feel and do, live and be. Is that explaining your question?
Yes, thank you very much. I understand from what you say that we should not fear the devil or the dark because it is part of the same source. That's right.
Exactly, you got it. Congratulations, dear sister in the light. You all have light and dark, so to speak, within you, and it's up to you which part you choose. Do you want to be grumpy, unfriendly to your fellow humans or to animals? Or does it not feel better to be kind and to be responded with kindness because you sent out friendliness? You know, what you send out, you generate. That's what you get back. You should not look at what you get back. You should be friendly because it feels simply better than being grumpy. But it's up to you. If you have your grumpy moments, okay, that's allowed. Don't judge yourself for that. But in the end, at the end of the day, have a look. How do you want to be? And what do you want to change or better? Next day, next situation, next moment, because you have the freedom to decide every minute, every second, what you really want.
Coming back to my question regarding the devil, I would like to ask you if the being we understand is called Satan or Lucifer, does this being exist really as the boss of the dark?
Well, we have to answer this question with a yes and a no, because it's still kind of within polarity, within duality. There is some being that you call Satan or the devil, which is kind of the boss of the dark. And there is Lucifer, and these are not one and the same. They are different beings. You throw them in one pot, stir around several times, and think they are all one. They are not. As there are the angel Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael, there are also in the hierarchy of the dark several beings. that are different. And as Lucifer is called the so-called fallen angel who rebelled against God, Source itself, and wanted to be like Source. This can give you an idea about your own ego that wants to be God. And many of your spiritual people also grab for that and think, I am God. They are not. You are made of light and dark, and only if you choose the light and melt with your higher self and soul, which is as a fractal part of God, then you are part of God and the light. But an ego saying, I am the light, I am God, is in your terms of language wrong. And so that is what you call, with your kind of a little bit false 3D limited language terms, a choice that is of the ego, and that Lucifer made the same choice. He wanted to be like God and no longer be just part or a fractal of God, Source itself, the light. So all the darkness is kind of following these ego traits, because darkness and black magic is always used for selfish purposes and not for service to others, to all beings. They want to get riches, money, wealth, fame, power. So it's mostly out of greed, which is selfishness. So that is the kind of line of division between light and dark in the higher realms. And that is what is the main character trait of dark beings and demons, and the kind of Lord of the demons, or Lord and boss of the darkness, which we would name as Satan and not as Lucifer, because Lucifer is something else. But as a fallen one, Lucifer also plays on the dark side, so to speak. Does that help you understand and explains a little bit more about your question, or do you need further explanations?
Thank you. That explains a lot. I understand that, yes, there are different beings representing the dark.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. And I'm wondering, is there any interaction between dark angels and light angels?
There is, all the time.
What kind of interaction?
Okay, we wanted to explain that it's not like most humans think, the battle between light and dark, and that they are always fighting. They meet each other in kind of different realms and different situations, and they confront and face each other. And within these situations, they all kind of prove who and what they are by their actions. But that's not always like a war. That's sometimes just as the angels are producing loving frequencies and emitting light and vibrations of love and light, so do the dark ones. They emit frequencies of low vibrations, of low feelings, like anger, sadness, rage, greed, and things like that. So these kind of frequencies, they meet and they repel each other. Sometimes the light can enter a little bit more into the darkness and change something into the dark beings. And that's what it's all about. It's about the balance, like in the yin and yang sign. The whole universe is about balance. And if the darkness takes too much space, then it kind of authorizes the light and the light beings working for source in self, in service to others, contrary to the dark beings program, service to self. They maintain the balance and kind of push back the overthrow of darkness. So every bad action forces a good action. And if you turn that around, vice versa, that's why the light beings never overstep their borders and stick to the cosmic laws of source. If the light ones would overstep the borders and change the balance, like in the yin and yang sign between light and dark, then they would authorize the darkness to kind of do their measures to get back their lost space, and they would act with, well, malicious acts. Do you get what we mean?
You interact with each other in order to take action on a particular issue, and you agree on doing something for the same mission or for the same purpose, one working on the dark and the other one working on the light. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And does this happen on the 12th dimension? I mean, do dark beings, do dark angels also exist on the 12th dimension?
Because of their vibration, they live in lower densities and dimensions. They are not in the 12th dimension. They tried to move their way up to higher dimensions, but that is very limited. They cannot get very much higher than 5th or 6th dimension. It's
So,
just a question of frequency. But as this is all kind of a proxy situation, because as forces and energies of darkness in the higher realms, they have no bodies. They need bodies to act out their purposes, and they influence humans on this earth. And of course, as they are greedy for power, they stick to the people that are greedy for power and riches, like maybe your politicians or your higher ups, your shadow governments that rule from behind the scenes, and even what you call celebrities, and even in your new age movement or ufology, they pick the ones that are most attractive because they haven't worked on their ego and also are greedy for power, fame, money, and whatever. So that's the law of vibration. They can only attach to people who still have these traits. And if they do so, they kind of authorize the light beings to do the same, and they influence also human beings, so to speak, for the good, for service to others, to do something that is good, not only for themselves, but for all their fellow humans. That's the line of discernment or division by which you can easily find out who is who. Does that help you further?
Yes, thank you very much for your explanation. Now, changing of topic, now that Trump has been re-elected as president of the USA here on Earth, what impact will his leadership have on the global sphere? Is there a higher spiritual purpose of his re-election?
First, we want to state it is not about the person. It is about the energy. So what the American people elected was new energy, new ways of doing things because they were tired of the old ways. So that is a very good decision. And even if it would not have been Trump or someone else will come soon after him, you made a very important choice, the choice for the new energy. And this is going along with where you are right now at the end of a cycle. Do you choose the old energies that were service to self and win-lose situations? Or do you choose a new energy, which is service to others, to all, and is a win-win energy situation? So it's not really about the person you name Trump. He's on the right track energy-wise. So that's why he is kind of good at the moment, because he is going with the flow. But the flow and the main energy is coming from the populace, from the people, from you and me and all the people incarnated right now in America. And as America was called the New World, there is even a book by Francis Bacon, who was an initiate as well and hid a lot of secret knowledge in his texts. And that book was called The New Atlantis, America by the founding fathers, and their constitution was meant to be the new Atlantis, the rebuilt of the positive aspects of the fallen Atlantis. And it is known to many spiritual traditions that at the end of a cycle, of the great cycle where you are right now, this change will happen and can happen for everybody who's choosing it, who's choosing fresh new energies and is tired and sick of the old ways of suppression, divide and conquer, and win-lose and all that, how your finance world and your society and everything is working. And it's doing no good, as many of you already feel since long. So now the first domino kind of has fallen to initiate the process that will go around the whole world, this whole planet, who is and was usurped by negative forces from outside. You can call the Greys or the reptilians as the alien overlords, and they as well have an overlord. Most of the reptilians are infested with nanites, so they are kind of the minions of a foreign artificial intelligence that was set loose millions of years ago in another dimension and usurped many planets in other systems. And that's also why you had this very rapid growth within the last 100 years in technology on your world. 100 years ago, you still drove in, well, the things that your horses dragged. And then 100 years later, you sent rockets to the moon and you had your automobiles and airplanes and things like that. The AI needs technological development to put a foot into a world. So you were on that path, working towards more and more development of technology until you started developing AI, so that the AI can have a fast, what's the word? Give us a minute. A more firm grip onto your earth. But there is also the light force, and your earth was never meant to be prey of darkness and outside forces. So now you are returning to your original meant path as a planet and as the populace living on the planet. The trajectory source meant for you and this world. And you are not alone in your world. You have never been and you will never be. There are beings living in inner earth that are more advanced and already 4 and 5 dimensional and around earth. There are also a lot of other civilizations, more than 50, and most of them are positive oriented. Only 5 or 6 races are negatively oriented. Just to give you from that more over 50 civilizations that are your benevolent Sky family or Sky brothers and sisters, there are only 6 that went the dark path of service to self. So in relation, it's not looking that bad, and you have help from within your inner earth, and you have help from outside of earth. All your angelics and angelic benevolent sky families are having your back, and they watch over you and they watch that the process is going right and well. And with this election now, you are back on the most positive timeline, the one you are always meant to be on. So for us, this is a point in time, a moment to feast that now it will all get better. You may have some bumpy roads still to go, but the great trajectory is in direction of light and positivity.
Now, what do you think humanity's greatest challenge is right now, and how can we overcome it to ensure a better future for all?
Well, if you call it a challenge, we would call it a choice. And the choices go within, because the outside world is just the projection of what is inside of you. So in the end, it comes down to everybody, him or herself. And we would like to advise you to not go into fear or anger or any low vibrations. That was told to you by many others since a long time, that it is necessary for you to keep up your high or good frequency of being happy, feeling joy, doing things that make you happy, to be joyous, because that is a higher frequency. Sing, laugh, dance, come together and do things that all can prosper from, like sharing experiences or sharing ideas and not taking position, because then you go back into polarity. If you pick one side, then of course you are normally against the other side. So there you have the mechanism by which the dark works. Divide and conquer, so that you are at each other's throat instead of being on their throat and throwing them out by throwing out bad feelings, low vibrations like anger and fear. And you can easily see, if you watch what's happening in your mainstream media, your TV, and whatever you are fed with by your governments and YouTube channels and whatever. Are they creating fear? Are they propagating fear or confusion? Then you can know this is not of the light, because the light wants you to follow the positive, to be as positive as you can, to be more friendly, kind, and loving, and care for each other as you care lovingly for yourself. That's why self-love, not in the selfish ego mindset, but in accepting yourself as you are, even with your flaws. That is the right way, because Source loves you unconditionally. You don't have to be the best medium of England or this or that. Just be yourself and turn to light, positivity, joy, happiness, friendliness. Then you make yourself more of the light. Then you grow your connection to Source as the fractal of Source that you are in your higher self and your soul. Does that explain your question?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm wondering, is there any food recommendation to follow in that would help us keep our higher vibration?
Yes, there is. Everything that contains light, and this means the less processed food, like fruits and vegetable, green things that come directly from nature, from your Mother Earth, Mother Nature. They already transformed the sun rays, the light and consciousness they receive and by which they grow inside of their kind of system. So if you eat things like that, you are taking in light or lighter energy than if you eat, well, dead animals, dead other beings. You are eating a piece of death, because the way how you slaughter animals and produce meat, they feel the moment of death, the animals, and they are frightened and they have fear. And this energy goes into the blood and into their flesh. And if you eat that, you also eat the fear and the low vibration. So higher vibrational food is everything that is the least evil you can choose. If you eat a fruit, you don't kill the whole tree. If you eat the seeds of a plant, you don't kill the whole plant. But if you eat meat, you kill the whole animal, the whole sentient other life form. Does that clear up your question?
Wonderful. Yes, indeed. Thank you very much. And finally, now that we are just a few days distance from the start of 2025 here on Earth, could you reveal anything about what this new year holds for humanity?
We are not very fond of your human tendency to want to have predictions. Because as we told you, we are beyond time. So we see the possible timelines that Earth and the populace and every one of you could choose. Of course, the future is not set in stone. It is a field of probability and possibility, and your past choices influence that 50-50 to maybe 70-30. But as we told you, you are on the best possible timeline now. We see a bright future for you. You still have to go through a few things because everything hidden and secret has to come to light to be addressed and changed. If you deny something and keep it under the rug, you will never address it, and you don't start to work on changing it. So that's why the old energy systems, your governments, and a lot of systems in your societal world are already crumbling, as you can easily notice, and they have to crumble to make space and room for the new solutions, the new ways of the new energy that you chose collectively. So at the moment, there is a lot of buzz about the showing up of how most of you call it drones or lights in the sky. It was the plan of the Galactic Federation and the Alliance, the positive military of your Earth states, to show up more in your skies, to make you aware of your sky brethren that have always been there, but not everyone could see or perceive them. And as this one is the alter ego of a being in a spaceship in orbit around Earth, a Pleiadian fleet, she has been up there with her crew on board several times astrally, and they told her that they will show up more to even make the last person aware of the fact that you are not alone. And of course, the shadow governments of your world want to interfere with this kind of disclosure. They are interfering with this whole drone game. And we can tell you only one thing. Your positive sky family, if you see a light in the sky that's moving, and it's of the positive angelic sky family, you will always feel a rush of joy and happiness in your heart. And if you don't feel that, then they are from the so-called other side. So the secret government is interfering with this whole drone thing, but at the same time, it was and is the plan of the galactics to show up more, to make you aware. So this is a temptation. This is trying to bring you into a lot of confusion, and the internet is full of videos about that. And no one knows the truth. The governments do not tell you anything, but the contactees know because their sky family told them that they will show up more. So you can know that at the moment you have to go through that, and there are kind of both sides showing up in the sky, and they're arranging a theater play for you. And we ask you to not enter into fear, because then you buy into the plans of the dark. Does that help you?
Yes, thank you very much. That's very useful to know because that's on the news at the moment. And many people have fear, and governments also promote that. And that is the least we need. So that's very useful that you raised the topic.
Yes. Whoever creates or promotes fear is not of the light. And if you encounter a light being, may it be an angel or what you call extraterrestrial, you will feel their frequency, and it is emanating love and joy and happiness. And by that, you can always discern who is who.
It makes sense. Elohim, I deeply appreciate your responses and the wisdom you shared with us in this conversation. Thank you so much. And Gabriel for making it possible. Thank you.
We thank you that you gave us the possibility, together with Gabrielle and you, to provide this little Christmas present for all that will see it. So thank you, and thank all the viewers for spending this moment in time with us. We recede now with greetings to all of you, sending you love and light and blessings for all of you, and we welcome you to find us in our 12th dimensional realm, which you can also access by going inside into your heart, because we are an aspect of you as well, as everything is one and connected. Even if your limited mind cannot yet grasp that, we are living within you, all the angels, all the ascended masters, and you can get direct contact to us with your heart. Go inside. The light is inside of you. We leave you with that. Blessings, love, and light, dear ones.